Hunger doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door in. During World War II, entire nations learned that the real enemy wasn't just bombs and bullets. It was empty shelves, ration books, and the constant question of what's left to eat. And here's the wild part. Ordinary people didn't just survive. They engineered food. They hacked hunger. They built meals out of scraps, seeds, weeds, and willpower. Some of those recipes vanished when supermarkets came back, but they still matter, because these weren't comfort foods. These were crisis foods, and crisis foods keep you alive. Welcome back to Life in Wartime WWII. Today, you're not getting nostalgia. You're getting survival knowledge. When white flour disappeared, wartime kitchens didn't shut down. They evolved, you know. Victory loaf was the backbone bread of the home front. It mixed whole wheat, ground oats, mashed potatoes, and sometimes soy or cornmeal. The potato wasn't just filler. It trapped moisture, kept the loaf soft for days, and allowed bakers to cut their flour use by nearly a third. This bread carried more calories per slice than modern white bread, and honestly, it went stale far slower. In a crisis that matters, it really does. One pot of boiled potatoes, mashed into dough, could turn a tiny sack of grain into a week of meals. Toast it, fry it, dry it into rusks. Victory loaf wasn't fancy. It was functional, and it kept families upright when shelves were bare. You know, named after Britain's wartime food minister, Woolton pie was less a recipe and more a system. Carrots, turnips, onions, parsnips, cabbage, and well, whatever else could grow fast, were chopped, simmered, thickened with just a little flour, and sealed under a simple pastry lid. The genius wasn't taste, it was design. This pie used no meat, no eggs, and almost no fat, yet it delivered warmth, bulk, and nutrients. It trained people to cook seasonally and locally, you see. In a modern crisis, this formula still works. One pot, one crust, endless variations. If it grows, it goes in. That's not a recipe. That's resilience, plain and simple. Apples were, well, scarce. So people went and invented them, in a way. Mock apple pie, you see, used crackers, water, sugar, and just a splash of lemon. Crackers would soften into these tender slices. Lemon gave you that acid bite, you know. Cinnamon did the rest. The result, honestly, shocked people. It looked like apples. It cut like apples. It even smelled like apples. But more importantly, it lifted morale. Wartime planners understood something we often forget. Food isn't just fuel, it's psychology. In crisis conditions, familiar flavors keep people eating. And people who keep eating, well, they keep working, thinking, and surviving. Stale bread never hit the bin. It hit the pot. Slices were dried, crushed, and boiled into thick cereal with water, or, you know, sometimes diluted milk. Sometimes a little syrup, or even mashed carrot sweetened it. This porridge packed slow-burning energy and delivered fibre when, well, refined grains were gone. In labour-heavy wartime life, that mattered. Bread porridge is honestly one of the most efficient food recycling systems ever used. No waste, no skill barrier, just heat, water and time. In any long emergency, this one trick alone can double how long stored grain feeds you. Meat was rationed hard, you know, so cooks treated it like spice instead of substance. Emergency meatloaf blended tiny amounts of mincemeat with soaked bread, grated vegetables, oats and drippings. The flavour, well, that came from onions and slow baking. The bulk, though, came from plants. This allowed one small portion of meat to feed an entire family. It also reduced fat needs, extended protein availability, and honestly trained cooks to think in terms of binding and structure rather than luxury. In a protein-short crisis, this approach is gold. You don't need more meat, you need smarter meat. When butter vanished, people saved every spoon of fat from roasts and stews. Dripping, spread, mixed, rendered fat with mashed vegetables, oats, or even whipped beans. It was seasoned and chilled into a spreadable paste. High calorie, long lasting. No refrigeration required in cold climates. Fat is the hardest nutrient to replace in crisis conditions. Wartime households knew this. Nothing fatty was wasted. Dripping spread kept energy high and cooking possible when oils were gone. It was survival chemistry on toast. Sugar and oranges disappeared from many tables, so carrots stepped in. Boiled, mashed, sweetened lightly, and sharpened with a little acid, carrot marmalade spread on bread, filled pastries, and even flavoured drinks. Carrots provided sweetness, bulk, and vitamin A. They stored well. They grew fast. They didn't bruise easily. This marmalade wasn't a novelty. It was a nutritional workaround. In crisis gardening, carrots remain elite. They are food, sweetener, and supplement in one root. Oats weren't just for mornings, you know. Wartime cooks turned them into savoury meals by boiling them in vegetable water, stirring in onions, greens, and a little fat, then baking the mixture into slices. This created firm, portable food that could be eaten hot or cold. Oats delivered slow energy and minerals when wheat was scarce. Savoury oatmeal cut cooking fuel use, stretched soups, and replaced bread. It also kept people full longer. Full people think clearly. That alone makes this one priceless. Butter shortages nearly killed home baking, you know, so, well, potatoes replaced fat. Mashed potato mixed into pastry dough created a tender crust using just a fraction of the shortening. This pastry wrapped pies, turnovers and dumplings, really making the most of what we had. It sealed in moisture. It reheated well. It didn't crumble. The starch structure of potatoes trapped steam, giving lift without expensive ingredients. In a crisis, potato pastry means you can still bake, even when oils vanish. That's not cooking, that's continuity. Barley swells, thickens, and fills. Wartime barley stew combined a handful of grain with bones, vegetable peelings, and water. Long simmering pulled minerals from scraps and converted them into real nutrition. barley added protein, fiber, and staying power. One pot could cook all day, feeding people in shifts. Fuel efficient, flexible, deeply nourishing. This was crisis engineering in edible form. When everything else thins out, barley makes it whole again. These recipes weren't born from Pinterest boards. They were born from necessity. They were tested under blackout curtains, air raid sirens, and ration limits. They fed factory workers, soldiers' families, evacuees, and entire cities. And the truth is uncomfortable. Most of them would still work today, maybe even better, because now we understand nutrition more clearly. If this kind of knowledge matters to you, if you believe history should be useful, not dusty, then you're in the right place. This is Life in Wartime, WWII, and this channel exists to bring back the skills that once kept the world standing. If you found value here, subscribe. Share this with someone who cares about real history and real resilience. And keep walking with us through the everyday battles of the past, because they still have a lot to teach us today.